Have you ever imagined that a single moment of compassion could change someone's life and avert a certain disaster? Welcome, friends, to our storytelling corner. In today's episode, we dive into a story titled, A Crime Interrupted by Kindness. It's a story that will make you rethink the power of your simple acts on others. If you love stories that touch the heart and shift perspectives, be sure to join our family by subscribing to the channel. And now, let's begin. The sun rises over a quiet street. Mrs. Mabel, wearing an elegant coat and a small hat, walks with steady steps carrying an empty shopping bag. She seems to be on her way for an ordinary day. She stops in front of a bank with a large glass facade. Mrs. Mabel said,
"What a lovely morning for shopping! I hope it isn't too crowded today."
She notices an old black car parked suspiciously right in front of the bank. The engine is running, and the keys are dangling from the ignition. The thief gets out, wearing a hat and sunglasses, looking nervous. He casts a quick look around before hurrying into the bank. Mrs. Mabel stops and stares at the car and said,
"Good heavens! Can you believe this? He left his keys in the car with the engine running. This is sheer madness. Someone will surely steal it."
Mrs. Mabel approaches the car, confirms the keys are there, then cautiously pulls them out. She holds the keys in her hand and heads toward the bank entrance, determined to return the keys to their careless owner. Inside the bank, the atmosphere is tense. The thief is standing in front of the teller counter, pointing a small handgun at the young bank teller, who is trembling with fear. Piles of cash are placed on the counter. The thief, in a low, flustered voice,
"Give me all the money! Quickly! Don't try anything stupid!"
Bank teller, in a trembling voice,
Yes, sir. Don't worry. I will do as you ask."
While the thief is focused on the bank teller, Mrs. Mabel enters the bank calmly. She hasn't noticed the gun or the tension in the air. Her eyes are searching for the man who left his keys behind. Mrs. Mabel moves directly towards the thief in a loud and clear voice and waves the keys in her hand.
"Young man! Young man!"
The thief freezes in place. The bank teller stares at Mrs. Mabel in shock and fear. The thief, looking at Mrs. Mabel, annoyed.
"What do you want? Old woman! Go away!"
Mrs. Mabel approaching him further, placing the keys firmly in his hand.
What? What do I want? You fool! How could you leave your car keys in the ignition like that? Don't you know? Someone could steal it. You are truly stupid.
The thief stares at the keys in his hand, then at Mrs. Mabel, who is scolding him seriously. He looks extremely confused. His eyes dart between the keys, Mrs. Mabel's angry face, and the shocked bank teller. The thief, muttering to himself,
"Stupid. Am I stupid?"
The thief looks at the bank teller, who is still trembling. Then he turns his gaze back to Mrs. Mabel, who is still staring at him with reproach.
Come on! Take your keys! And don't make this mistake again! You are lucky! I found them!
Suddenly, the thief makes a decision. He throws the gun on the floor, grabs the keys tightly, and turns his back on everyone. The thief, in a loud voice, running toward the door.
"Damn this day! Damn it!"
The thief rushes out of the bank, opens his car door, and jumps inside. He starts the engine and drives off at a crazy speed, leaving behind a thick cloud of dust. Mrs. Mabel walks out of the bank calmly, watching the car drive away. Mrs. Mabel shaking her head.
Young people these days, they do not know the value of their possessions. At least he learned a lesson today.
Mrs. Mabel sighs, then continues on her way to shop, completely unaware that she prevented an armed robbery. The bank teller walks out of the bank, looks at Mrs. Mabel with astonishment and gratitude, then gives a slight smile. Ultimately, we learn that changing the course of a life does not always require force. Mrs. Mabel's story reveals a quiet power we all possess, often hidden from our own sight. Sometimes, simply paying attention to the small things and gently reminding others of their own worth is enough to steer them away from the darkness. Not all heroes wear masks, some wear simple coats, carry forgotten keys, and possess a heart that sees only the good waiting to be mended. Now, ask yourself, what small, simple act could you perform today that might change someone else's life forever?
Wishing you moments filled with joy and a life brimming with pure happiness.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.